Hello and welcome to episode 36 of the Give Me the Remote podcast. It is the 30th of March 2019. My name is John. I am joined in the pod as is usual by Sheridan.
Hello.
And we have a special guest, the Queen of Podcasting, Mel.
Hi. I don't know where I got that title from.
Now, Mel is with us to discuss Game of Thrones Season 8 and in particular the betting markets surrounding it. But she's going to tag along and join in as we go. But Sheridan, what's the first item of business today?
Let's do Love, Death and Robots.
Love, Death and Robots, or animated Black Mirror, as I like to think of it.
Yeah, I don't think it's quite there, but that might be a spoiler on what I think of it.
I mean, it apes the style of Black Mirror. That
It
intro is a huge nod to Black Mirror.
So it's, how many episodes? 18 episodes?
15, 18, something like that. And
18,
they're short. I mean, they're
18
between like 5 and 15 minutes.
That's right. And they're standalone episodes, so like Black Mirror. And
Stylistically hugely different.
yeah, it's animated.
But, no, I mean, but each animation is very different.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's true. Each one is very different. And there is a live action episode.
But it does have an animated component.
So they're all done by different artists?
Yeah.
Well, that's really cool.
And, like, most of the biggest names in modern science fiction did the writing for the stories. Which, when I say that, they literally pull them out of their short story anthologies and use those. So the stories are absolutely rock solid.
Yeah.
Although some are weaker than others, I'd say.
It was created by Tim Miller, who did Deadpool.
Yeah, right.
And David Fincher is tagged very prominently as a producer, but
Yeah,
there's
right.
several producers.
Yeah. I mean, David Fincher, I mean, that's one of the biggest names in cinema. I mean,
Yeah.
that's huge. And I got to say, as with any anthology, I suppose, some of the episodes spoke more strongly to me than others.
Yeah, I would agree.
Which is a way to say it's hit and miss as well, I guess. But I think the hits and the misses might differ from person to person.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the misses spoke a bit more to me. That the live action one with Topher Grace in it, basically a couple finds a civilization living in their freezer.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought it just didn't go anywhere. Like, it was really cool, the animation, but it doesn't make any sense. Like, these people weren't even very shocked by the fact there was a civilization living in their freezer.
It's kind of that line in The Witch and the Wardrobe, sense of wonder. But I would agree it was an episode that didn't really go anywhere.
And they were just like, oh, okay, let's just leave them there for a while and have a glass of wine. Wouldn't you be like, I think I need to, like, put this on Facebook or, like, call someone? And,
Yeah, but
like,
Call my therapist.
yeah.
But that'd ruin the story.
So it just was sort of silly.
Okay, that I wouldn't say that one was my favourite at all. And I think it's definitely worth noting there is some pretty hardcore sex in this.
Yes.
And there
That is true, yeah.
a lot of extreme violence.
Yes.
And then there's just downright gruesomeness that we can't talk about because it would spoil the whole story if we did.
Yes.
But, I mean, we were both literally staring at the ceiling for, it felt like an hour, but it was probably 20 seconds while the most gruesome bit got done, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, TV that makes you feel, I guess. But
Yeah, that was a good episode, the one with the astronaut. But... Well, I mean, it happens, I'm not going to say what happens, but yeah, she falls loose from the space shuttle and has to get back to it.
yes.
That was a memorable and good episode. But
Yeah.
I felt like that was like, there wasn't very many of them. The other really good one was where the yogurt.
You really liked the yogurt, didn't you?
I really like the yogurt takes over.
That was a
the
John
world.
Scalzi story. But,
Yeah, it's just like
yeah.
really absurd, but in like a clever way,
Mm-hmm.
rather than the Topher Grace one that I was talking about before. That was just absurd in a stupid way.
But it was a complete story as well.
Yeah.
It had a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Yeah.
Things happened, and that isn't the case in all of these stories. Some of them just feel like music videos. It's just, like 5 minutes of rock and roll and bang, you're out.
Yeah.
But then I really liked Zimmer Blue, which was a bit of a commentary on art. As well as robots. Although that's a very old story. I think Alistair Reynolds might have. He certainly wrote that along. I read that story a long time ago.
Yeah, right.
and most of the others were stories that were newer to me. But yeah.
What are you going to give it?
I think 4.5 stars, I guess.
Wow.
I don't think an anthology can ever be perfect. And I think that's the nature of anthology as well, that you're going to get ups and downs.
Yeah.
But I think it's great. I'm really looking forward to it, because the second series, now that they've established the concept, I reckon the second season will be stronger. And then I think after that, they'll have exhausted the writing. But I'm really looking forward to the next season of it. And I think it's just a fantastic thing to exist.
I'm going to give it 3 stars.
Yeah, only 3. Just you really did not like that episode.
Well, I mean, as will become apparent when I talk about Spider-Man later, I'm not the biggest animation fan. I don't know what it is, because I quite like... I don't need things to be realistic, and I like that in animation you can do things that you can't, obviously, in live action. Like, you can get really creative. But for me, it just... it loses a sense of relatability and kind of warmth or something that I kind of need when I watch stuff. And I just didn't think the stories were good enough to sustain this.
Okay.
I mean, I like that it's only, 6 to 17 minutes long episodes. Just chuck a few on. Like,
yeah,
it's not a big time commitment.
Yeah, we basically knocked it over in 2 nights.
Yeah, and if you don't like an episode, you know you're not going to have to hang in there for very long.
I felt a lot like it was watching a short film festival of a very high standard.
Yeah.
Because most short film festivals I've been to have had 1 or 2 really good ones and 3 or 4 okay ones and a lot of dross.
Well, that's what I felt like this one. So yeah, I'm going to give it 3 stars. Because there are some really good ones in there. What's next?
Mortal Engines.
Mankind mobilized. A new age arose. The age of the great predator cities. Survival of the fastest.
So Mel hasn't seen this one. I had a very large nap in the middle of this one, so I don't feel qualified to review it.
Well, isn't that your review right there?
Well, I did, when John put it on, I said, I was before the film started, I said, I think I'm going to have a nap during this, so I'm probably out. So tell us, John, what this is about, because I did wake up and was very confused.
So it's a Peter Jackson vehicle, and he's got his whole regular writing team, Philippa and Fran, are along for the ride. And it's got Hugo Weaving, so it's basically Lord of the Rings, right?
He's got dark hair in it too, which he doesn't usually have dark hair, I've realised.
Yeah, he's looking, I thought he was looking pretty young and muscular in this role as well. And it's got giant cities that rumble around eating each other across the northern European landscape. And it's got sky pirates in dirigibles, and it's got Terminators with fatherhood issues. And yet, despite throwing everything and the kitchen sink at the... and some really powerful, fantastic imagery in parts, like where this evil city with a great big Union Jack across the front of it's rumbling and eating other cities, and the people in the cities screaming. And
extreme is that a hard Brexit?
Well, this they'd crossed the land bridge to re-enter Europe,
right.
kind of going the opposite way. It's more fun to describe than it is to watch.
Well, when I woke up and had a little gander at it, it looked very good visually.
Yeah.
Very stimulating and really, really nice CGI.
Yeah, lots going on. I suspect the Anglos were the baddies and the Chinese were the goodies, so I wonder how it's going to go in the North Asian market. Maybe with the Chinese dubbing and it'll work to Chinese sensibilities. I don't know. But I found it really tiresome and dull, considering the subject material had everything I could ever... You know, if you asked me to write down a list of all the cool things I wanted to see in a movie, it ticked all those boxes. And yet, it was kind of dull and lifeless and listless. And I think they tried to cram too much in as well. And it was one of those things that, say, making Lord of the Rings, they could get away with offhand references to things that weren't fully explained, because literally the most read book in the world outside the Bible is...
The fans wanted that. They needed it, because they needed to know that those storylines had been thought about and jettisoned.
And serviced.
But there was a little bit of a nod to, we know that
Yeah.
Except for Tom Bombadil, they didn't refer to him.
Tom Bombadil is just a dead end in the book. I totally get why
Bombadil was the best character ever.
They gave a lot of his stuff to Treebeard, though. A lot of his lines.
But anyway, from a point of view of trying to cram a movie that was already 3 movies and too long, there's a whole bunch of stuff that they had to cut, and I get it, and I can live with that.
Yeah.
In this, I'm not au fait. I think it is referenced from a book. I don't care enough to look it up. I strongly suspect it's young adult, which is a genre I particularly feel is an unnecessary one. But
just one of the most wildly successful genres.
It's totally unnecessary.
It doesn't need to happen.
Yeah. When I was a young adult, I just read the adult books, and I turned out fine.
You didn't read any young adult books?
The genre pretty much didn't exist when I was growing up. There was certainly some immature crap that I read.
You would have had Puberty Blues, wouldn't you? That would have been one.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there was Judy Blume and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but,
what about that?
I would say Judy Blume's stories are good stories for anyone, though.
Well, I mean, good young adult books are just good books.
Well, so I'm just saying good books, you know.
But that's not the same as like a good detective story. It's just going to be a good detective story, but there's still a detective genre.
I think we're arguing a distinction without a difference here. But anywho, I'm going to give it 2 stars. It looked good, but it's fundamentally unsatisfying, disappointing. If you just want to sit on the couch and play on your phone and have something on the background, then it'll serve well enough.
So how many stars, sorry?
2.
2, yeah.
Right. And part of it's just the disappointment. The talent's there, the material is there, they spent the money, there's so much stuff whizzing around on the screen looking good, and yet the story is this disjointed mess.
Yeah, right.
So what's next?
Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse.
My name is Peter Parker. I'm pretty sure you know the rest. I saved the city, fell in love, then I saved the city again and again and again. Look, I'm a comic book, a cereal, I did a Christmas album, and a so-so popsicle. But this isn't about me. Not anymore.
And can you tell by the way I said that I love this movie?
Which is not expected, because Sheridan hates animation.
Well, I don't hate it, but...
You were usually indifferent to it.
It takes some convincing for me to watch it, and I kind of usually have to have heard that the movie's really good.
For example, you despise Frozen.
Frozen is the stupidest movie, and it is boring, and the songs are crap, and I don't like it.
Sheridan is alone in the world in not liking Frozen. But you like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. And I'm going to say, they jerked us around on this. Like, it was meant to be out on rental weeks earlier, and obviously it was pulling in so much money on direct sale that they just kept pushing back the rental release. But this Thursday, it finally came out for iTunes rental, and I've been gagging for it. I nearly went and saw it in the cinemas because I'd heard so many good things about it, and it takes a lot to get me out to the cinema.
I wish I had gone to the cinema to see it, because visually this film is amazing and one of the most creative new things I've seen done, not just in animation but just visually on a screen, for an extremely long time.
Yeah, right. That highly. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, so the appearance of it, I think what makes it successful is that it's very heavily references, obviously, comic books. Like, it looks like a comic book that has come to life.
But I would say particularly the more modern style of comic books, which is almost impressionist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then there's like these crazy, like basically LSD tripping scene where they're inside this huge machine that's going to destroy the world. And it's like a psychedelic freak fest. Like, it's amazing.
And they did a lot of clever stuff with laying out, a little bit like Ang Lee's failed Hulk movie, where they were laying out frames of a comic on the screen, but they pulled it off here in ways that movie didn't. And a lot of very nice little touches, like, you know, wahoos flying across the screen when, you know, to demonstrate exuberance, and kapows in interesting ways when fights are happening. The story I thought was barely serviceable. Yeah. It was okay.
So basically, I mean, the story, and if this, I mean, I'm sure this has been trolled hard on the internet. So, there's Spider-Man, as we know him, the traditional Spider-Man character, and then this Afro-Latino kid gets bitten by a spider.
Radioactive spider. Well, a fractal, multi-dimensional spider, yes.
And becomes a Spider-Man. And then Kingpin is trying to...
the underworld figure.
Open up alternate universes to get his family back. And so he opens a portal and a whole bunch of alternate Spider-Men come...
Spider people.
Yeah, well, that's what
Spider persons.
Come into, the current universe. And so there's female Spider-Man, there's...
Two female spider people.
Two female spider people. One is a Japanese, sort of anime kind of styled one. There's
a pig.
There's a noir Spider-Man who's voiced by Nicolas Cage, who's like a black and white one. There's a Spider-Ham who's voiced
Peter
by
Porker.
John Mulaney, who is just an awesome comic. Like, I love him. We watched that comic series, comic stand-up show that he did. Anyway, it was one of the Netflix specials that was really successful.
Yeah, right.
He's great. And that's it, I think.
Yep.
And there is another Spider-Man that's like basically like a loser Spider-Man.
Well, an older, more beaten down, washed up Peter Parker.
Yeah, and probably my only criticism of this film is I felt that character was a little bit too heavy on the Deadpool referencing.
Yeah, whereas I thought that Deadpool was always a bit of a Spider-Man rip-off in that regard, so it just felt like they were reclaiming their own material.
Yeah, and it just didn't feel that original to me, but anyway. Maybe you're right, anyway, but there's a very minor criticism, and actually he's a funny character, so...
Yeah. Oh, he's a great character. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the story. But you felt it was a little bit.
Like I said, it was fine. It wasn't. I mean, there are lots of good things in it. There's a lot of redemption. There's a lot of choices, consequences. I mean, choice is a huge thing that gets. Here's the dishwasher. Choice is a huge thing that gets talked about in the consequences of choices. And all that's handled pretty well, and pretty much all the characters have agency.
I feel as though all of the characters are very, very well developed. And as I was saying before, like, my problem with animation is I just often find there's like nothing for me to connect with because you remove that human element, and therefore there's sort of nothing left for me. But this, I have absolutely no problem connecting with these characters because they are so fully formed, all of them. Like, I mean, maybe a couple of the lesser seen spider people aren't that well developed, but you don't need that. There's so many others there.
And who voiced Aunt May again? That was someone special.
Lily Tomlin.
Yeah, Lily Tomlin is Aunt May, and a very wise, occasionally terrifying Aunt May as well, which I thought was quite something to see. So yeah, look, This was it totally. I had a lot of expectations. It totally lived up to it. You were saying it's one of the most expensive animated movies ever made.
So it's the Sony Animation's the biggest crew they've ever used. It cost $90 million to make, which, I mean, I haven't looked at the cost of animation for a while, but or in depth, but that's a lot of money to me. It grossed $372 million at the box office, though, so I think tick box there. Yeah. It won Best Animated Feature at the Academy Awards.
Yeah, right.
Which is the first one, I think, since... what was that one with that was kind of a bit that Timothy Leary kind of style?
Where the Wild Things Are?
That was voiced by Johnny Depp. Do you know that?
No, this is turning into bad radio.
Anyway, it's the first non-Pixar or DreamWorks film to win a Academy Award for animation since that film. That
okay, so Sony's definitely going to be keen to do more of this then.
Rango.
Yeah, okay, I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Is that the one with the lizard?
Yeah. The lizard, yes.
Rango, maybe?
Yeah, that, anyway.
Yeah.
So really,
which is also a very underrated movie, I might add. Like, if you haven't seen that one,
yeah, that's pretty good.
Just look for Johnny Depp lizard That's all of them, isn't it? Sorry. Anyway,
so
go on.
they've already booked in the sequel. It's going to happen.
Okay, because
and a
I'd
lot
like
of
them to
spin-offs.
take this style and tackle non-spider stuff as well. But yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. I think it genuinely just had like a lot of heart. Like, like I actually, when I was researching, like putting my thoughts down before this podcast about this movie, I nearly put it on again.
Yeah,
because
right.
I loved it so much
Yeah,
that
wow.
I was like, I just want to watch it again. Like that's how I'll do my review.
Okay.
I didn't do that because I didn't have time.
Yeah,
but
it cost another $7 on the rental too.
oh really? Oh no.
maybe we should buy it.
I think we can just wait for it to come to Netflix.
Okay, all right then.
So
Stars.
obviously, I'm just giving it 5 stars. I found it to be so close to perfect. I think it's just perfect.
I'm only going to give it 4.5, just because I felt the story could have done a little more. But I really, really liked it. And, 4.5 should not be considered a bad score.
True.
Okay, Sheridan, what are we doing now?
So, I'm a little unclear, to be honest. I think what we're doing is we're looking at all of the bets that are currently on, or some of the bets that are on sports betting websites about Game of Thrones and discussing them.
I know death. He's got many faces. I look forward to seeing this one.
Yes. Now, the point being that Game of Thrones is the granddaddy of streaming TV. It's the godfather at the moment. Final season, season 8, is starting on the 14th of April in the US, and we're getting on the 15th. So it's a big honking deal, and there are betting markets on what's going to happen. So we've brought Mel into the podcast to help us walk through a form guide, as it were, for Game of Thrones betting. We're only going to do this because Game of Thrones is the big kahuna. Let's jump straight in. The first major market is who will rule Westeros at the end of season 8. So it's not who will sit on the Iron Throne, because that could be like the janitor comes in and parks his bum on the on the throne in the final scene, couldn't
A little bit
it?
of trolling.
So it's not just who will sit on the Iron Throne, it is who will rule Westeros.
Just quickly, I've already got a tangent. How cool would it be if they destroy the Iron Throne? That would be really cool.
R.R. Martin has always said the Iron Throne is a MacGuffin.
Oh, okay.
Well, but I don't reckon one single person is going to rule Westeros.
You think it'll be fragmented?
Yeah, because it's already fragmented, isn't it?
Well, that might be all bets are off. And
You've all lost your money.
But okay, the betting market we're looking at is who will rule Westeros at the end of season 8. Now, to my surprise, the favourite is Bran Stark.
Yeah, I was actually really surprised to see that too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But isn't he the bloody... What is
The
he?
crippled one who
He's
sees
the-
everything.
What is he? What is he
Oh,
called?
the three-eyed crow.
Three-eyed
Yeah.
raven.
Raven.
Like, he seems to have
Blackbird.
transcended being a human now.
Yeah.
It's like this...
It's just creepy and unpleasant.
Yeah, because he knows
Yeah.
everything. Like,
Ooh, Sansa, I saw you getting sexually assaulted. Ooh.
yeah, like he just knows. Cause
You were so pretty.
because he's like omnipresent.
Mm.
It just doesn't suit. He's like godlike almost
Yeah.
at this point. He knows everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like everyone's doing. I don't like that. I really don't want him on the throne.
Yeah.
I don't want him dead, to be honest. He annoys me.
Yeah.
Now, so Bran's at $2. Now, I think that's a much less likely bet than those odds presenting.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a good bet.
So who's the next favourite?
Next is any child of Jon Snow / Aegon Targaryen. Now, this is referring to the fact that at the end of season 7, it was revealed that Jon Snow was born the rightful heir to the throne of Westeros, and his name at birth was Aegon Targaryen before he was hidden away.
It was kind of told to us in season 6 when they did. Bran had his little vision, and like it had his Ned holding the baby, and then they did the eyeball thing,
Yeah.
going into the baby's eye and back out onto John's face.
Yes.
So I think everyone already knew. We knew for ages, but
Yeah,
yeah.
the R plus L equals J fan theory.
So hang on, did you all know this from reading the books?
No,
No,
it was a fan
huge
theory.
fan
so-
theory.
Okay, because I was going to say, God, everyone kept that to themselves.
no, it was a huge fan theory
Okay.
for years.
So if you're following the show at some remove and people have been talking about Aegon Targaryen like it's important, the thing to know is that's Jon Snow. Same person.
Birth name.
Okay?
Okay.
So anyway, a child of Jon/Aegon.
So he has to have a child first.
Yes.
So it doesn't seem like that can happen in 8 episodes.
So it does seem a little short on time, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
Well, he might have gotten Daenerys pregnant.
that's
They did bump the nasties, and she goes, "I can't get pregnant." He goes, "Well, I don't trust witches."
yeah. Many women thought she couldn't get pregnant and got pregnant anyway. But anyway, so equal second favourite with that is the actual Jon Snow, Aegon Targaryen. I feel that's too obvious.
In some ways, yeah. That'll be a very hero ending.
Yeah, and the whole point of the show is meant to be subverting heroic tropes.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, I would like it because I love heroes winning, but it just feels wrong for Game of Thrones for him to rule over. And he honestly doesn't seem the type. He seems more of one of those figures who'd be like, cool, I've won the day, let a better man rule.
Well, he's mostly just good at standing on cliff tops brooding, isn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, that's his
Yeah.
thing. And dying. He's pretty good at that. More practice than most.
I've actually thought of him for a while now as almost an Aragorn character, with very Lord of the Rings this week, but he doesn't have that same thing where Aragorn had a motive in the end to become king. It was like he had a driving force. John doesn't. I don't see John, like John will be happy to be up north and just have his little kingdom up north, if that.
Yeah. Anyway, so he's on $4. Moving out to $5, we have Daenerys.
I hope she dies.
Given apparently,
She's something about her annoys
Emilia
me.
Clarke's been very public that when she read the ending, she hit the bottle, and she's very unhappy about it.
So I don't think she's on the throne.
So
like, I have worked 10 years for this, and they're not giving me a crown.
no, maybe that's a red herring. Maybe they're putting that news out there to mislead us. I think she's gonna go Bernie, and the heroes are gonna have to stop her in the end. That's my personal
Heel
theory.
turn?
I think she's gotten too fond of murdering people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was a huge plot point in season 7, where they had to were trying to talk her down from going to burn Euron ships, and then she's like, "I'm wondering where your loyalties lie now, because you're not letting me go burn shit."
Yeah. Okay, so she's at $5, and I wouldn't be betting on that myself. At $8, you got an interesting one, Sansa.
She's ruling the north, and she should stay there. I actually think she's doing an okay job up there.
Yeah, I think she's doing a pretty good job.
She is legally
I like
married
her.
to Tyrion.
Who is the next one down?
Yeah.
See, Tyrion winning would be like ruling at the end would be cool, and she is legally married to him. You do have a point there.
Yeah, I quite like that. Them two together.
Just
And
they
that would
can
be
rule
her,
separately.
because at the start she was all, like, I want a handsome, tall knight, and she's come to realise that handsome, tall knights aren't very nice people.
Yeah.
I kind of like to see that. So Tyrion Lannister's at the same odds as Sansa. I could maybe see it happening.
It'll be cool. It'll be the kingdom of tits and wine.
Yeah.
What more could we ask for? Now, at $10, finally off the boat, we have Gendry, who spent 4 seasons rowing into the distance.
I loved those beams.
Now, Gendry, of course, in show is Robert Baratheon's bastard son, and he's quite a charismatic young dude. Looks good, swinger, hangmer. He's been hanging out with the Dirty Dozen in the last season, so he's got some form. I don't think he's totally impossible.
But I don't think it's going to happen either.
No, because I just don't think he's been in the show enough.
So he's at $10.
It has to be a main character.
Yeah.
Does
You'd
it?
think.
I think it does.
Yeah,
You'd
but
hope
also
so.
you're not subverting any heroic trope by making the hidden son of the king sit back on
that's
the...
why I feel like Tyrion's the...
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, but at $10, I think Gendry is a fun bet where I think the chance of him actually getting there is better than those odds. Moving on, at $11, the Night King.
Ooh,
That would just subvert everything. It's like doom and gloom. we've just destroyed the world. It is the time of winter.
How are they going to beat that bloody dragon?
Well, they've got 2 dragons of their own.
Yeah, but that dragon seems way more powerful.
Yeah, but Drogon, Drogon's a much bigger dragon.
Yeah, because that was the smallest of her dragons.
Oh, was it?
And the thing, because it was named after...
Viserion, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Her horrible brother.
It was named after her horrible brother, is the one that they ended up being. And I'm like, oh,
yeah.
I think Drogon and what's the other one's name? Is it actually called
Drogon, Rhaegar,
It is
and
Rhaegar,
Viserys.
yeah.
Why did she name the dragon after a horrible brother?
Well, she named Drogon is after her husband.
Yeah.
Then Rhaegar after her good brother, and Viserion after Viserys. Because it's Viserion, it's not Viserys.
Because I wouldn't name anything after him. He was a right.
But it was still a brother.
The name had, I think, some
historical meaning
resonance aside from just him.
Yeah. But the
I'd need to
named
go
after
back
her
to
brothers and husband.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, Night King, kind of fun.
It would be that depressing ending, but I kind of like
just
that.
Well, we have seen the
reckon
visions
that
of the
could
future.
happen.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's an $11 option for you. At the same odds, Sam Tarly.
Sam.
I think there's a lot
Well, it would be a nod to the nerds, wouldn't it?
Nerds will rule the world.
And now at $13, so out $2 from Sam Tarly, Cersei Lannister, who currently is on the Iron Throne. How can she be $13?
I reckon she's a chance myself as well.
I think she's a good chance.
She's
I think at those
pregnant,
odds, she's a
isn't
good
she?
bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's pregnant. You
Yeah.
can't kill a pregnant lady.
But they already have.
Yeah.
Red Wedding.
Yeah, I know.
That's what I was referencing.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, I think Cersei at 13 is a pretty good bet. I think she could still pull this one off. Some nasty backstab at the end.
Yeah, maybe
But,
I don't know. Just how it ended, because like Jamie's left her now and pretty much said you're a horrible person and I can't abide.
He's done that a few times before though.
Yeah, but I think this time he means it.
Yeah, it felt very.
Yeah, because he's
final.
riding north on his own.
Now we are going to get to the odds on the Clegane Bowl, but of course Cersei's maintenance of the throne
Yes,
is
it's the mountain. The mountain.
mountain dependent. Yeah.
Very mountain dependent.
I reckon she's going to die though.
Yeah, I think it'll be good to have it. I think they will give her a good death.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a death that is satisfying.
We're probably talking episode 5 out of 6, aren't we? Cersei's going to croak.
There has to be a major one around then, doesn't there?
Yeah. Now, at the same odds as Cersei, Peter Baelish, who is dead.
Yes. I just had his throat slit by Arya.
Whoever was doing the research for Sportsbet really stuffed that one up, didn't they?
I think this might have been a betting pool they've been running for a long time.
Okay.
Yes, at further out than Peter Baelish, which let that inform your betting. Arya Stark.
No, I don't think she'll rule.
Same.
She's had a really cool story, and I hope if it doesn't end with the Night King ruling, I hope that they'll give her some kind of indication of a happily ever after. Like, even if that means she's off to be an assassin for the rest of her life, I'd be really happy with that.
Now, one piece of foreshadowing that I've been watching closely with this is Arya keeps saying, "I serve the god of death." White Walkers, death. Is she on the same side?
Yeah.
Is she gonna? Yeah.
Really?
I'm just saying it's a real possibility.
Wow.
Now,
Just quickly, I think she loves her family too much, though. She came back to her family when she was off to finish her list, heard that her family was up north and rode back north.
okay,
Yeah.
so she might have abandoned the mission.
Who else is on her list?
She still has Cersei, the Mountain, Beric Dondarrion.
I think Jaime Lannister's on there, isn't he?
Can't remember. Wait, 2 seconds. I had the list up like 5
and
seconds ago.
Beric's gone, so...
Yeah. 2 seconds. I have the list. Keep talking. I'll find the
Okay.
list and just time
All
back
right,
in.
we'll return to Arya, but Jaime Lannister is at $26.
I don't think he's a winner.
Nah, he already had his chance. He sat on the throne and Ned told him to get off.
Yeah. Euron Greyjoy at 34, I think. Because he's meant to be a much bigger character than he has been so far, so I don't know if he's going to get bigged up in this one.
So quickly, I've got the list up. So Cersei, Gregor Clegane, Ilian Payne, and Melisandre,
Yep.
and as we said, Beric's dead, so he doesn't count.
Yep.
So she's only got 4 to go.
She could easily knock that off in the
Why does she have
remaining episodes.
Melisandre on the list?
Because of Gendry, because they were mates, and Melisandre took Gendry from her.
Now, moving on from Euron, who no one thinks is a chance, Brienne is slightly less odds than Euron. I don't think Brienne is
she's
any
got
chance.
no chance.
Now, here is my hot tip, and I've actually put $10 of my own money on this one. Varys.
That is actually interesting. I like Varys, and yeah.
Now, the same line of fan theory that gave us R plus L equals J, so it was vindicated, is pointing out Varys has got his shaved head, and it appears he might have white hair when it does grow out, which would play to the theory that he is, in deep book lore, a Blackfire Targaryen, which is the cadet branch of the Targaryen family who feel that they should be ruling Westeros. And the other part of the Blackfires is the Golden Company, which Cersei has just summoned for across from Essos. Cersei probably must not realise that they think they're the rightful rulers of Westeros, or she wouldn't be inviting them back. And Varys has been playing good Varys for probably 5 seasons now.
Yes.
But he's not good. He is a sinister schemer, and cuddly Varys, I serve the realm. I think he's been hiding all along. I think he is a real chance.
Back in like season 1 even, it was Varys, Peter Baelish, and they killed him a while ago, but he liked young boys. The Maester? The Maester. Those 3 were the plotting, conniving ones that I was always like, keep an eye on them. So we've gotten rid of the Maester a while ago. We've now gotten rid of Peter Baelish, but I'm still like, nah, Varys still...
Yeah. And
that reminds me, he had a conversation with Melisandre last season, and when she was being banished, and she said that both of their deaths lie in Westeros.
Yeah.
So, maybe not.
He can still rule Westeros and then die.
But at the end of season 8.
Yeah, but look, at the same odds as the underrated Varys, we have a resurrected Ned Stark.
Don't get silly at this point.
I don't think that's going to happen. Daario Naharis, unlikely. The Mountain...
He's dead.
Gone. The Children of the Forest, no. Davos, probably not.
Actually, Children of the Forest, that could be a cool ending.
But they're not an individual.
Hang on, when did the Mountain die?
No, we're saying he's going to die.
Oh, right.
No, I'm not even saying he's going to die. The Mountain is
he's undead.
But he's a possible survivor. If we go with a Cersei heavy future.
Right.
It all depends on the Clegane Bowl and
what's the Clegane Bowl?
So you got the 2 brothers, Sandor Clegane the Hound,
like the Super
and
Bowl?
Gregor Clegane the Mountain, and since the Bastard Bowl got resolved, the next big conflict is the Clegane Bowl.
I feel like the Mountain has to win that.
Well, we're going to get to that.
Well,
it's in the betting odds.
Don't jump ahead.
With the Children of the Forest, that would actually be a really beautiful ending. So they defeat... Everyone pretty much dies, and the forest reclaims, and like all nature reclaims.
Well, considering that the Children of the Forest created the White Walkers in the first place.
Yeah, but when you look at why they were created... It was
fight humans.
Yes, so the humans and the White Walkers wipe each other out kind of thing, and then,
Children of the Forest trot back, ha 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 ha.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, nature reclaims.
Okay, so that's a $51 bet. So, very small investment. We'll see you with $500 in your pocket. Davos Seaworth, Bronn, unlikely. Sandor, unlikely. Grey Worm, no. Beric, dead?
Yeah, he died up north. And
Mira Reed at $91.
Wait, isn't she dead too? Didn't Mira die?
I thought she walked out of Winterfell alive.
Oh, maybe she did. I can't remember now. I can't remember. I know she came back with...
She got Bran back to Winterfell.
Yeah.
Melisandre, Jaqen Hagar, Podrick, Theon...
Brienne again.
They got Brienne in here twice.
That's what I'm saying.
So I'd definitely take the $151 on Brienne, not the $36 on Brienne.
Yeah, we're going to put a bet in. Jorah?
Jorah, no. Now, Lady Stoneheart is in the books, is the zombie Catelyn Stark. I would say no to that.
Yeah, she hasn't appeared. That would be a big twist just at the end, just like zombie Catelyn. I am here to rule. Don't know why she's a robot, but she is.
Look, Lyanna Mormont, I think that would be a fan favourite.
She would have that kingdom cleaned up so fast.
Yeah. Tormund, the big redhead, no. Tycho Nestoris, even I don't know who they're talking about now.
Do you think they'll get... Brienne and the big redhead will get married?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope so.
If
If
he
they win.
survives.
If the good guys win.
So we don't know if Tormund's alive at the moment. He was on the wall when it was brought down.
Yeah, Tormund's fine. He'll be digging himself out of rubble in episode 1.
Yeah, it's Tormund.
Victarion Greyjoy, who doesn't exist in the show. Missandei, who's Daenerys' handmaiden. No. Yara Greyjoy, $176. That's not the dumbest bet possible here. Gilly at $300 is definitely the dumbest bet here.
Gilly is Samuel. Partner.
Dolorous Ed is in there at $370. Ilaria Sand, who's in a dungeon dying of poison.
No, her daughter's dying of poison. She's fine.
got to watch the poison,
Yeah.
yes. Hot Pie, the chef. Sir Pounce the cat at $401.
Yeah,
Now, if it was sit on the Iron Throne, I reckon Sir Pounce would be a good
Sir
bet.
Pounce would be such a good bet. It's just like, oh, there is a chair. Oh, it's just an important chair?
Now,
That is for a cat.
to round out this betting pool, the final bet
$501.
at $501 is Ed Sheeran, also known as Lannister Soldier Number 7. So well done, Ed. And no, he's not.
I wish him all the best in his quest.
Yes. Now moving on, the special bets.
So these are they saying they'll have a cameo or something, or these guys will sit on the throne? I mean, rule.
Sorry.
What's a special bet?
So specials is a series of bets you could push on. So one of those is who's going to become a White Walker. I don't think that's half as interesting, so we're going to move on from that. What is interesting is the Hound versus the Mountain. So the Hound versus the Mountain. They've phrased this quite cleverly. So it's who will die first. Given that there is an expectation, hey, we could all be wrong. Maybe they'll just traipse around different parts of the countryside and never come together. I think that's unlikely. I think
they did see each other near the end of last season. They were face to face in
the Dragon Pit.
Yeah, in the Dragon Pit. Thank you. I was about to say King's Landing. I'm like, no, more specific.
It was near King's Landing.
Near King's Landing.
I think this is going to be something like an episode 4, to give us a bit of a high point before we set in for the final. The Mountain to die first is the narrow favourite at $1.67. So if you bet $1, you'll get your dollar back and 67 cents, which is not great gambling odds. And the Hound to die first is at $2. So the betting markets think the Hound's going to beat the Mountain.
Yeah.
Sheridan, you disagree?
Yeah, I just can't see physically how he could win.
Well, he's...
Stick a sword in him?
Like, I can see it because obviously now the Mountain is undead, so that makes things a little more complicated.
Undead?
Yeah, he's a zombie.
Well, hang on. His skin is black, and he was
dead.
Poisoned with and badly stabbed by Oberyn Martell. But I mean, Oberyn Martell soundly beat the Mountain in that fight, and would still be alive today without his skull crushed if he hadn't gotten cocky.
Yeah.
So. And is the Hound a better fighter than Oberyn Martell? Could be. And is the Mountain as nimble as he was when he was alive now that he's sort of a lumbering death beast?
See, my vision, what I would like them to really do, I would love the Hound to win and set him on fire, because that's how the Hound became all disfigured, was his brother put him in the fire over a toy. And I think that would be like a really romantic... kind of.
The Hound has been terrified of fire ever since.
Yeah.
But he has been overcoming that terror.
Yes, exactly. He's been serving the Lord of Light.
Yeah. Mostly because he'd rather be the one setting people on fire than being
set on fire.
Yeah.
I would too.
Let's see. Another of Daenerys' dragons. The odds of another one of Daenerys' dragons dying in season 1 is considered to be very likely. But if you wanted to bet against it, that no more of Daenerys' dragons will die in season 8, you can get $5. I don't think that's a good bet. I think it's very likely that all of the dragons are going to die.
Poor dragons, what would they ever do?
Do you think they're all going to die?
Yeah.
I feel like one is going to survive.
Really?
Yeah. Well, they're kind of like what the show's about in a lot of ways.
Are they?
Well, they have been like central to the plot development from the very beginning.
Yeah, she got the eggs like I think it was in the first episode she got the eggs. First or second episode she got the eggs.
I don't think they've been central to Daenerys' story, but I think they're another MacGuffin myself.
Yeah.
Is there any other part of this betting that anyone particularly wants to talk about, or have we
There's some
concluded?
very specific death bets. Like
Okay.
Jaime Lannister at King's Landing jumping out the window whilst under rag control from Bran Stark. 14
Walk
control.
Mm.
14-1.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to see a lot of your money back on that.
Cersei Lannister in King's Landing by Needle. It's starting to sound like Clue or Cluedo, wherever you're
Yeah,
from.
so Needle is Arya's
Arya's
sword.
Yeah, but I'm saying it sounds like
True.
it'll be Cersei Lannister
True.
in King's Landing with Needle.
And then there's even another one that says while Arya Stark is wearing Jaime Lannister's face.
I think that's
That is actually
that's a
possible.
fairly good probability.
Yeah.
12 to
That
1.
means she would have had to kill Jaime first.
Yes.
Mm.
Tyrion Lannister Beyond the Wall by Wildfire.
Nah, Wildfire's not going to go beyond the wall.
I don't see them going back beyond the wall again.
Yeah.
The battle's come to
The wall is
Westeros.
down,
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, Daenerys Targaryen in the Red Keep Great Hall by Widow's Wail. Who's Widow's Wail?
That's
again?
the sword Joffrey had
That's
made
right,
out
Joffrey.
of-
Yes.
of... Well, Tywin had made out of Ned
Ned
Stark's sword.
Yeah.
That was given to Brienne by Jaime, wasn't it?
No, I'm trying to think where that sword ended up.
Yeah, it's in Brienne. It's on Brienne's
Yeah.
hip.
Okay, there we go.
Mm.
Yeah.
So who's going to die by that?
Sorry, let me find again. There's so many of these. Daenerys. No, Daenerys in the Red Keep, killed with Widow's Wail.
I think that's a real possibility. What are they
Yeah.
offering on that?
They're offering 15. But yet, no, they didn't say who's going to be wielding it. But yeah, so there's some really weird ones.
I mean, if Arya's running around with Jaime's face, I mean, all sorts of...
All sorts of shit's going to go down. Well, if Jaime is going north, then that's where Arya is.
Okay, well, look, I think we've given good service to Game of Thrones there. Obviously, we're very excited about it. We'll be back to discuss Game of Thrones. I don't think we'll do episode by episode, will we?
No.
Too much.
We can't, I don't know. I don't want to commit.
Okay.
She's scared of commitment.
It could be that after the first episode we're going to have a lot to say and we might return. Also, do let us know whether you're enjoying Game of Thrones commentary. We can do more. We're definitely going to be watching it as each episode drops. That brings us to the end of the program. Thank you so much for listening through this far. If you'd like to get in touch, do email us at gmtrpodcast@gmail.com. Also, we noticed that the Facebook comments are turning up on the website now, so that's nice. Do keep those coming. We appreciate them. We will be back hopefully next week to talk about some more stuff. Thank you so much, Mel.
Thank you for having me.
Let people know where they can find you.
So I'm part of MM Podcast Network. We've got a website, mmpodcastnetwork.com. Currently, I'm only doing one podcast.
Just one?
I know. Uni's keeping me down, so it's just a Buffy the Vampire Slayer watch through, so check that out. But yeah, you can find me online anywhere, MM Podcast Network. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks, Mel.
Thanks for coming in, and thank you, Sheridan.
Thanks.